Hello, everyone. Yes, so for today, we're going to learn something about maybe most of you knows already. Okay, building frameworks for technology integration to improve student learning in secondary math classroom. But before we dig into that, let me try to introduce myself. Okay, I am Sidney Guiang. I'm electronics and communication engineer with 10 years of experience in the field of construction engineering, occupational health and safety in the UAE. However, during the pandemic time, something went off and I need to find another job. So I tried to search jobs and I tried to apply in a school. And here I am right now with a 5 years teaching experience. I love what I'm doing. I love helping kids. I love teaching kids, especially in the field of mathematics. I have a certification on behavior as well, an IBT and ABAT, certified by KHDA here in the UAE. And on the side, I am also teaching music theory, musical instruments privately. So that's for an adult and for children. All in all, I work and live here in the UAE for 15 years. Okay. In this masterclass, you will be learning on how different pedagogical reasons for integrating digital tools in secondary math, explain why TPAC framework is necessary in integrating technology in your lessons and what even TPAC is, and analyze the needs of the students, okay, and design a task for them using UDL, Universal Design for Learning. And the last one is using different areas of differentiation. The key takeaways for today is technology supports, not replaces, teaching effectively. For technological tool to be used effectively, the TPAC framework is needed. And lastly, technological tools help inclusive practices like UDL and differentiation. Before we dig in, we delve into that one, okay, I just have a few questions for you guys. Okay, you just have to rate it from 1 to 5, one being the lowest and 5 being the highest. How were you confident in integrating technology in your math lessons or in your lessons? Can you type in the chat right now? 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest. Okay. 3 in the middle, that's really 5. Oh, we have very confident. Okay, that's really cool. That's really good. Next question will be, how often do you use technology in your classes? Do you use it every lesson? Do you use it from every now and then? Do you use sometimes only, just once a week? Okay, we have a 2. That's the answer. Thank you for the answers. And the last question is, do you plan carefully on how you use technology in your class? Do you have planning on how to use that one? Very good. Everybody has their plans accordingly. That's really, really nice to look at. That's very nice. Daily, yeah, that's very good. For tests as well as worksheets, fun videos, lesson plans. That's really, really, really lovely to see all those responses. Thank you for that. Why am I asking this? Because technology is part of an educational tool. Now, what is an educational tool? Okay, educational tools, it refers to any resource or technology to facilitate teaching and learning. What does it mean? It reinforces your teaching and the students' learning. Just for example, you need to draw a rectangle. What tool can be used? It's a ruler. You need computations? A tool can be used as a calculator can be used. Next one is it enhances engagement. Okay. Kids sometimes love to feel something with their hands. Okay. Some kids love tactile tools for algebra, for fractions. Some tools love to have a graphing paper. Okay. It keeps them hooked. It keeps them engaged on the task at hand. It supports diverse learners' needs, especially nowadays, right? There are a lot of diverse learners' needs in the class. Okay. Most commonly, we have ADHD, some ASD, some have vision impairment, some have a lots of things going inside the classroom. An educational tool can help us to cater most of them. It improves instructional effectiveness, visualization of abstract ideas, and conceptual understanding. Math is a very, very, very abstract concept, and some of the students don't really understand abstract things. That is why we need to make a concrete idea first, then apply it to the abstract so they can understand what is really happening in between. Okay, like five plus -3. Some of the students don't even know what is -3. But if you put it on a number line, or if you make it like a fraction, a manipulative that you can use, then it can help them understand what we're trying to say. It is categorized also into two. The first one is offline tools. Of course, offline, it doesn't need internet. And here are some examples on that. I believe everybody's using this one. Algebra tiles, calculators, protractors, coordinate plane, template, whiteboards, even a post-it. This is what I love to do in my class. Post-it. I write, I let the student write what they have learned as a plenary, as an exit ticket, then they will post it on the wall. That is tool. And of course, if there's offline, there will be online. It requires internet. This is the most uh platform that I use. GeoGebra, yes, Desmos. Okay, GeoGebra, Desmos, Padlet, iExcel, Education, perfect. So we have been using this a lot. So for now, I want you to have an activity. Okay, I have a list here of like 12 tools. Okay, and your class is having a skill mastery of area, computation of area, and perimeter of 2D shapes. I just want you to select maybe one or two on the list. Okay, one and two, and how are you going to use it? One or two tools that can help you to teach area and perimeter of 2D shapes. Which one of this can be really helpful? You can type into your chat now, please. Rulers, okay, and okay. So for coordinate plane, area of 2D shapes, maybe with drawing of the 2D shapes, yes, yes, I will agree with the ruler and coordinate plane. Okay, fraction tiles can be also okay. So it depends on how will you gonna use it. So here's my take on that, and these are the things that I'm about to use. Okay, again, it depends on how will you use it. Okay, I'll use here Google Classroom for organization. Kahoot has a formative, Padlet is a formative as well. MathPapa. MathPapa is an application wherein they will put in the problem, then it will generate how to solve it one by one, and Desmos for visual for visualization. Now the question is, like some of you chose rulers and coordinate planes. I'm not saying it's wrong, but for me, like I will be having hard time to use that one. So what does it mean? Not all tools, not all tools can be effectively used in the classroom. It depends on how you're going to use it. It depends on how will you incorporate it in your class. Not all tools are equally effective for classroom integration. If not purposely selected, it may fail to support conceptual understanding. And heartbreakingly, some of the technology that have been used, that some of the teachers are using, are not even helping uh, students in learning, but it is hindering some of the students' learning because they are focused on the tools itself and not on the context. Consider the following. First, before we even use, is it aligned with our learning objectives? Again, like earlier, the goal is the skill mastery of how to calculate the area and perimeter. Is it aligned? Can we use probability spinners on there? No, definitely not. How will you teach it? How will you use it? Will you just give it to students or you will model it in front of the class? Assess its practicality and accessibility. Does everybody have this on your class? If I will tell, okay, class, open Desmos website. Does everybody have a laptop? Does everybody have a computer? Does everybody have internet connected? If not, then probably I will not use it or I have a backup plan for that. And lastly, we should always consider TPAC framework. What is even TPAC means? Okay, TPAC is uh, the combination of the three domains. Okay, describes the intersection of the three domains that the teacher needs to integrate technology into teaching effectively. So there are three domains: technology, pedagogy, and content. Okay, in education, content knowledge is knowing what to teach. And for us, math, at least we know what is the content of math. For secondary math, at least we know algebra until calculus. Do we know it by heart? The next one is pedagogical knowledge. This is how to teach. You know what you're about to teach. And pedagogy is knowing how to use those to teach students. And technological knowledge is, are you familiar with different tools that you're going to use? If I'm going to have an analogy here, I'm so sorry, I love food. So I will go with the food. Okay. Content knowledge is the ingredient, pedagogical knowledge is the process, and technological knowledge is an appliance. For example, you love steak. The slab of meat will be your CK. Searing it on both sides for 2 minutes, that will be your PK. And technology will be the oven or the cast iron or whatever you need to use to have those done. So those are the three components that we will check. First, we need to know what is content knowledge. Content knowledge is the teacher's deep understanding of the subject matter they are teaching. Okay, it doesn't mean that you memorize the formulas of length times width is equal to the area, but you should have known why is it like that. What is the main idea? What are the theories? What are the procedures behind it? So you can explain it to students and students will understand what is area and how area is computed. What are the common misconceptions on how to avoid them? What are the common pitfalls? Like for area, that will be the unit. Maybe they will not they forget to square the unit, or might be for algebra, the negative sign might be a pitfall for them, and how to avoid that. So you should impart your knowledge to your students. Okay, transfer ideas and skills to students. And lastly is we will have an example on that one. Okay, this example we'll be using this for the entire TPK. In grade 7 are having a topic on area and perimeter, mainly on the question, can two rectangles have the same area but different perimeter. Oh, that's kind of tricky. Is it really possible? Okay, for content knowledge, it's what is the area, what is perimeter, what are their relationships. Common mistakes of the students, sometimes on perimeter they multiply it, they multiply the length and the width, or sometimes on area they just add the length and the width, or as I mentioned before, the units are not correct. Can you provide an example? Can you go, for example, your example is given, no students can understand it. Can you make it more easier or more simple so that they can grasp the idea of what you're trying to say? Then for those students that are really, really gifted and talented, can you make it a little bit harder for them so they will be challenged? And can you relate the abstract idea to a real world context so they will be engaged, so they will know that they will be using this later on in their as they grow up? Because most of the students are asking, sir, will I ever use this area and perimeter in my life? And maybe as we give examples in a real world context, we can say, yes, we need to use it. Okay, that is content knowledge. Then what is pedagogical knowledge? Pedagogical knowledge is the teacher's deep understanding of process and practices that students learn effectively. It starts with the lesson plan. How do you plan your lessons? How will you deliver your lessons? Are there any assessment? Do you need to make a diagnostic assessment? How will you do your formative assessments? And how will you check? How will you evaluate them? Feedback. Will you give the feedback now or a little bit later? So what I'm doing in my class is like I give always immediate feedback in what do you call this? In individual practice. When they're on their individual practice, I try to roam around the class and check the students' work and try to challenge them as well if they're doing right or wrong. How will you differentiate and how will you scaffold? How will you help those students that are really, really having hard time? How will you manage the class? If there's one student that is interrupting the whole class, will you deal with it directly or will you just turn a blind eye to that student? How will you manage it? That's part of pedagogical knowledge. And what are the instructional strategies that you're going to use? Will you use inquiry based or maybe a collaborative or a project for students? Okay. So going back to the example, you have grade 7. Okay. How can you apply pedagogical knowledge in here? Okay. Maybe I can ask an open-ended question. Okay. If I will make a rectangle of this size and I will make another rectangle and they have the same area, will they have a different perimeter? Or I can give them tools like graphing paper, or I let them open GeoGebra, and there's a slider in GeoGebra that they can just play around to investigate them themselves. Give them timely feedback, and that will be on collaborative work. That is pedagogy. That is pedagogical knowledge. Technological knowledge. Of course, as we know, technology. What is technology? Eh? It's the teacher's deep understanding of various online apps and tools. It is not just knowing the tool, but understanding how to use the tool effectively. You know what? Some of us are. I've been I've been in this situation before that I heard that some of the classes, some of the teachers are using a certain platform, and it came to my mind. Even I don't know that platform yet. It came to my mind like, oh, I need to use this on my class without even knowing what is the tool about. It ends up really, really terrible. What happens like during that session, we are learning about the app or learning about the tool instead of learning about the content of math, in which it is a no-no. Okay? So we need to learn the tool first before we can apply it in our class. What are the digital tools that I can confidently use? Like IXL, Desmos, a YouTube can be, okay, Education Perfect, Padlet, there's a lot of things. Seesaw, you need to pick one, choose one, and you need to master it because when the student asks you a question, sir, I just press this one and this happens. What you gonna say with the student? Oh, I don't know that one, so we need to close that one and reopen. No, then it's a waste of time. Yeah. How does this tool function? Do you know the basic functions at least? Do you know the more advanced function of that tool? Yeah. What are the pros and cons of that tool? Everything has pros and cons. Like, give an example like Kahoot. Kahoot is a very, very good example for formative. It is a gamified quiz for the students. However, if you just use Kahoot for the whole lesson, what is the purpose of that? Yes, activity is fun, activity is enjoyable, but kids learn nothing. So what are pros and cons of the tools? Will it hinder or will it support learning? Okay, so let's go to our example. Again, the same kind of example that we have. First question, if we're going to use technology, does everybody have their laptop? If yes, is it charged? If not, I think we need to prepare some place where socket is there that they can charge. Is the internet available? If not, then don't use it. Next will be, do I know its function? For me, I will use GeoGebra and Desmos for this kind of questions. Are we confident to use it? Like, as I mentioned before, if the student asks questions, do we know how to navigate around it? Okay, weak technological knowledge might lead to wasted time learning the tool instead of the subject matter. Also, it might lead students not to explore and being distracted. That's the one problem of technology. So we need to incorporate all those three to become effective. Can we intersect only two of the CK and PK and not the all three? Because all three is too much. Yes, we can. Okay. Pedagogical content knowledge, PCK, when pedagogy and content alignment is prioritized. Traditional teaching without technology, it is effective. It worked. Okay. I believe most of us have been to that era wherein technology is not that there yet. We learned. Yeah, definitely we learned. However, look at the burden given to the teachers. It takes a lot of time to prepare. It takes a lot of resources. It's very hard to find materials for that. But with technology, it is easier to find. Okay. Technological pedagogical knowledge, TPK, used when enhancing engagement is the priority. If you want them to be engaged, use technology and pedagogy. Later on, we will dig into this details. And TCK is when the content mastery through technology is prioritized. Okay, all of them has their pros and cons, and we will see how it goes. TPAC, the one in the middle, if you can see there, the one in the middle, it is the integration of all three, used for deep and meaningful learning. Let's all go for pedagogical content first. Okay, knowing what to teach and how to teach effectively. Given examples, the teacher can ask the student a graphing paper and draw a rectangle with 12 square units. Then compare it to their peer or compare it to their group. Then they will notice that it is different. Then I will ask again, how about their perimeter? Then this is like, yeah, it is really possible to have an area the same but different perimeter. Then I can ask them, explain your answer. But This one, as I told you, this takes a lot of time. You need to hand over resources, graphing paper. You need to hand over rulers to them. Okay. And some of the students are not really, really good at writing yet. So this takes a lot of time and resources. Okay. Technological pedagogical knowledge, knowing how to teach and what technology to use. An example, I will use Padlet to post different, I will use Padlet so that student will post different well-designed rectangles having an area of 12 square meters. So the student will design 12 square meters and post it in Padlet. Students will collaborate and give feedbacks. Oh, my mistake, it's not the triangles. Feedback on the triangles their peers made. Then, at the end of the lesson, I will play Kahoot about area and perimeter. What is the problem in this one? I didn't hit the mark. I didn't hit the learning objective. Activity is fun, but students might not understand the relationship between area and perimeter. Yes, I use the technology. Yes, I know what to teach. I know how to teach, but I did not teach what am I supposed to teach. That's a problem with this one. We prioritize engagement. We prioritize them being focused on the things that doesn't really that matter much. Next one is technological content knowledge, knowing what to teach and what technology to use. So I will ask the students to use GeoGebra to create a triangle. Students can drag the sliders. They will drag in the sliders the length and the width of the rectangle until they have the area of 12. But I did not guide them on how to do it, and I didn't give scaffolds to them. What is the problem with this? Student might find the answer to the question without understanding why it really worked. Maybe they will just say, yes, it is possible, but why and how? They can't answer it because they don't know. They don't have any guidance on how to do it. That is why we need to have the TPAC full integration. And this is how to do it. Okay. A teacher will design an inquiry-based task. And we have two different rectangles with the area, same area but different perimeter. Then I will ask the student to use GeoGebra to test their hypothesis. And if the answer is yes, I will ask them to post their findings on Padlet and their reasoning. Then at the end of the lesson, I will try to discuss and draw a conclusion on the initial question. Here I hit every mark. I explain. I teach what should be taught. I give them chance to learn on their own, inquiry based, and I use technology to integrate it in the class. So that's how full integration is. Short answers, please, on the chat. First question is, what is TPAC framework? We have discussed this earlier. So what is TPAC again? Okay, integrate technology into teaching. That's really cool. Okay, how to integrate technology into teaching with three domains: the pedagogy, the content, and technology. Okay, can you use only two intersection of the framework? Okay, yeah, you can, yes, you can, but mainly on CK and PK, but not on the other areas because it will have a lot of loopholes on there. It will not be enough, as they mentioned. Okay. Why is TPAC framework necessary in integrating technology into your lesson? Okay. We know the answer to that. For it to become effective use of technology. According to Mishra, Okay. And color successful integration of technology in education does not only mean using digital tools in the classroom. Meaningful integration is dependent on the dynamic integration of pedagogical content and technological knowledge. Imagine that this is a three-legged stool. Okay. Yes, if one is broken, it can still stand up. Might be it can stand up, but it is not sturdy. It is not balanced. But each leg represents one domain. If one is missing, it will be very hard. Okay. But when everything is present, everything is there, it is really, really effective to use. And going back to our learning objectives, we have finished pedagogical reasons for integrating tools in secondary math and why TPAC framework is necessary in integrating technology into lessons. Now, we can integrate technology into your lessons, but why? Why do you need to integrate it? What is the benefit of integrating technology in your lessons? One of the benefit of that is technological tools enhance teaching and learning by empowering teachers to support inclusive practices such as UDL and differentiated instructions that are not only easier to implement but also more engaging to students and provide real-time feedbacks. But what is inclusive practices? What is inclusion? Let's watch a video on what is inclusion. Inclusion is belonging. So in every class, there will be some students who need special attention. Some may be they're struggling behaviorally, some cognitively, some physically, some emotionally. And we don't want any students to be left behind. That is why we need to practice inclusion. It is the right of every student to learn in the same classroom as the other kids. Means creating learning environment where everyone is valued equally, everyone is treated with respect, and is provided with the opportunity to participate and succeed. Not just they're there in the classroom to listen, okay, but we give them opportunity to participate and succeed. But how are we going to do that? Okay, it is not integration. Okay, integration is like you have a class and you put in some of the special needs in the class. However, inside the class, you separate them on the corner. No, that's not inclusion. That's integration. The purpose of us doing using technology is that we can include everyone else in the class. Okay, let think of this one. Okay, different needs of the students. Okay, I just mentioned a few. Okay, this is from my class. Okay, ADHD. It is neurodevelopmental condition that affects a person's ability to focus, control impulses, manage time, and regulate behavior. Okay, it's either hyperactivity or inattentive. Okay, next one, visually impaired students, a condition in which a person's eyesight cannot be fully corrected with glasses or surgery. It affects their daily activities. ELL, English learning language. These are the students that are on the process of learning English in addition to their native tongue. They might struggle on some vocabulary or complex instructions. Dyscalculia, a specific learning disability that affect person's ability to understand numbers and mathematical concepts. This is very tricky when we are teaching math. And last one is gifted and talented. Sometimes they are the most neglected students in the class. Neglected, neglected because some of the teachers will think, oh, he's smart enough. He can do it on his own without giving them challenges on how they will improve more on what they know. But they are part of the class. It means that the teacher has the responsibility to give them challenges so that they will enrich more their knowledge. Yeah. And imagine, okay, how will you teach fractions to grade six students if you have this students in one classroom? Is it possible to have a single way to represent the content and be effective? Will a single test be fair to check their skill mastery and understanding? Will a single lecture be enough for all students to understand it? Of course, we know the answer to that. Different needs of students, then definitely the answer on these questions, no, it will not be effective. So we need many ways to many representations so that students will understand your content. That is why we need to implement universal design for learning. UDL. UDL is a research based framework from CAST that helps teachers actively design lessons that meet the ends of all the students before barrier comes up. Okay, UDL and differentiation. Okay, some of the teachers are confused on what are those, and some even think that when you use UDL, you are already differentiating. No. Okay, UDL is a proactive approach to inclusion. What does it mean? You are already planning on different areas to to help the students learn that subject before that barrier comes up. Okay. It means that you don't know that this student is struggling, but yet I prepared something for him so that he will understand. That is UDL. Again, UDL is proactive. Okay. Okay. So three core principles. Multiple means of representation, multiple means of action and expression, multiple means of engagement, multiple means of expression, what they will learn, multiple means of expression, how will they showcase their learning, okay? And multiple engagement is what motivates the student. So we need to find ways so that most of the student will benefit on your class. Okay. Can we use UDL without technology? Yes, we can. We can use for multiple means of representation. Visual aids can help. Tactile, tactile kits, fraction cards, chunking of information, that will really work. Multiple means of expression. They can draw, they can build tactiles, they can answer worksheets, you can give them challenging problems. We can do that. And multiple means of engagement, real world context, give examples that on the things that they like. It happened to me that I'm trying to teach fractions, and most of the students doesn't know what's happening, and I give a real world example on that, and I relay it to football, and everybody suddenly remembers, oh, this is the idea. I got it. I got the concept. So independent research and positive feedback. So if we can use this without technology, then what is the use of technology? Okay. It provides dynamic and personalized learning experience. Like it's very easy nowadays. Text to speech or speech to text. These are for the students who are visually impaired. Okay. It will be easier for them that their laptop will read that for them. Simulations, so they don't need to really imagine deeply on what's going to happen, but rather they can just click a button or make a slider and they will know that, oh, if I do this, this will happen. Customizable display. Okay, you can make the text bigger, you can make it a high contrast, so it can benefit kids who have vision problems. Okay, provide a wide range of tools and express their understanding. Like not everybody who knows something can really answer worksheets to express that this is what I know. Some of the students are good in explaining. Some students are good in making a video on how what they learn, or they can create a presentation or infographic. And it fosters sense of autonomy and motivation. Motivation, like gamified quizzes, they love it because it for them it's just a game, but they're learning. And exploration. Okay, out of all of this, UDL, technology makes UDL even way easier and better because most of the technology now it is really available and it really helps the class. Let's analyze each need. Okay, ADHD, they love visual and dynamic content that turn abstract concept to concrete. They like games, they like movements, moving around. They like short breaks as well. Immediate feedback will benefit, they will benefit also on this one. And these are the examples of tools that I've been using in my class. Okay. Quizzes is now Wayground. They changed this year only. Okay. Instead of quizzes, it's now called Wayground. Okay. Next one is visual impairment. Visual impairment, I have the student that when I ask them to open the laptop, this is the laptop screen and this is his face. It's very close to the screen so he can read what is the instruction. Luckily, I told them to just uh, use the text to speech so he can talk to him back. He just need to wear his earphones on that. Okay, dictation tools, Zoom contrast accessible platforms. Desmos has it. Okay, and these are the tools that can help. Okay, for English language learners, visual aids to reinforce verbal information. Okay, and vocabulary support. Visual aids, like for teaching, when teaching what is fraction, what is numerator, what is denominator, it is really helpful for them if you have visual aids on the board, like what is numerator, where is the numerator, numerator is the upper number or the lower number. Okay, and these are the tools that I've been using. And the next one is dyscalculia. Okay, this is a little bit tricky, but they like visual and dynamic content, show step-by-step solutions and calculators, immediate feedback to reduce frustrations as well, because they easily get frustrated because like numbers really is not their thing. Like something in their brain messes up with their understanding of what is abstract numbers. That's why at least we need to give them concrete or visuals so they can understand what we're trying, what we are explaining to them. And lastly, for the gifted and talented, okay, they want to be challenged, they want to explore simulations, and they want to have self-paced progression because their pace is really fast compared to the other students. And these are things. Now, we will prepare a UDL, okay, UDL in the class with those students, okay, but we don't know, let's pretend that we don't know that they will be attending the class. Again, UDL is a proactive. Before the barrier comes up, we are preparing already on how to deal with them. So, okay, you are teaching grade 6 class about fractions, and you will design a lesson using technology that incorporates all three core principles of the UDL. What technologies you will use? Here are some. Okay, I want you to just type one of the chat, and how will you use it? Just one. Maybe it's multiple engagement, multiple ways to represent, multiple ways to um. So what can be it? Maybe Kahoot. Kahoot is, yeah, gamified. Desmos for equations. Okay, but also Desmos can perform fractions. That's really good. Desmos for that. Okay. All right. So let's see. Multiple means of representation. What Kahoot? Yes. What I'm about to do is like this. I will introduce the concept using Desmos. The student will investigate by changing the value of the numerator and denominator using visual sliders and make them. This makes the abstract concrete. Okay. I will use Desmos as a visual for all of the students. Will this be effective on all the students that join in my class? Yes, most of them love visuals. So this is perfect for everyone. Next, for for multiple means of actions and expression, I can use Canva, IXL, and Padlet. Okay. Infographic, Canva. Okay. This is good for especially for ELL students who cannot express exactly what is it in English. They can use infographic. Or for those this with dyscalculia, IXL, we can use IXL to them, but with the easiest version that is really possible. And last is Kahoot for engagement. Okay, even we don't have these students from before, everybody in the class will benefit on this one. That is a good thing about UDL. You don't need to know who students will come in your class. You don't need to know what needs do they have, because when you do this, when you have this kind of UDL in your class, everybody will benefit already on this one. Yeah. Now, what is differentiation? Okay, we'll skip this one. Differentiation is a mindset and not just a set of rules. It involves making small and responsive changes to how teacher delivers the content, engage students, and assess their learning. These changes are based on students' readiness level, interest, and learning profiles. It promotes equity, increases student engagement, and improves their understanding, hence improving their academic achievements. So, if UDL is proactive, differentiation is reactive. So, again, we're going to the buffet. There are a lot of foods in there. But remember, in buffet, there is like a live kitchen something. I don't know what do you call that, live kitchen section. Wherein, especially for breakfast, you will go there and they will ask you, sir, how do you like your eggs to be? Is it well done? Is it runny, sunny side up, scrambled? Yeah, you have different kinds of food around, and when you go to that section, they will ask you what exactly do you need, and you can give it to them. That is differentiation. Differentiation, different areas, content, process, product, and learning environment. Again, there are overlaps on this with the UDL. Content is what students learn, the process, how students make sense of ideas, product, how students demonstrate learning environment, the physical and social setting of the class. Let's give an example. How will you use technology on this? Okay, content technology provides customizable content that can be tailored to the readiness level of the student. Okay, is it really hard for them? Is it very easy for them? You can change it, and some tools are even adaptive. Okay, as as the student answers the question, the platform automatically adjusts the level of questioning. Okay? Process. Technology provides dynamic tools that allow multiple representation of a single idea. Okay, how will they learn? And lastly, what is the product? It is like the multiple means of um, actions and expressions. So, how will we use this one? No differentiation, same materials for all students. Process, the teacher will just talk in front. Product, they will have the same test, same material for everything. They have permanent seating plan. If I'm going to use this one, if I'm going to do this, how are the students with visual impairment? How? If they use the same materials or same type of test for them, I don't think that they will answer anything because they cannot see what's on the paper. Yeah. Without technology manually providing different materials for different levels of students from easy to challenging, the problem with this is like, yes, you can do that, but the problem with that is like you need a lot of time to group the students. Then you need to prepare each and every group their own materials, and which that will take a lot of resources and a lot of time. Offers choices like hands-on activities or learning stations for the product. They can use poster, mind maps, worksheets, and flexible seating arrangement. Yes, you can differentiate without technology. However, again, this will be time intensive and resource intensive. But with technology, it is right there. We have adaptive tool, so we don't need to group them because there are analytics already on some tools like Khan Academy, iExcel, and Education Perfect. I love Education Perfect. I'm using this every time. I can see what are the key areas of the students that have gaps. Then I can target that easily. Next one, Desmos or GeoGebra for exploration for um, the product. Okay, I can use Canva, Google Slides, Desmos Builders, iExcel, Task, Education Perfect Task. I can use technology. It's way easier and it's way better. Now let's have a look on how will we use differentiation and UDL at the same time. Same questions. Grade 6, having of fractions. Remember, we use Desmos, we use for the content, we use um for the expression, we use Canva, we use IXL and Padlet for videos. And for the last one for engaging is Kahoot. So on this one, Okay, what technologies can be used? Okay, I think we're going to use the same thing as earlier. But what will happen here? Now that we know that the students are like this, for the content, flexible group work, GeoGebra, before in UDL, we just mentioned Desmos. But now I mentioned GeoGebra. GeoGebra is, I will ask this calculic student to go to GeoGebra first to explore in GeoGebra because it is way easier for them to understand fractions, okay, before going to Desmos. And on the other hand, GeoGebra, I can also ask the student with gifted and talented to explore more in GeoGebra about fractions. Desmos, this is really good for ADHD students. Padlet with images, this is for the ELL students. And how about the visually impaired? In Desmos, there is an accessibility mode. Okay, the process, it's almost the same as the content. I will use the same exact thing. I will just add IXL at the bottom. Because in IXL, I can give them worksheets. I can give them tasks based on their respective levels. And this product is exactly the same as multiple means of expression. How will they do that one? Kahoot answers. This is really beneficial for ADHD. Padlet responses, beneficial for ELL. IXL, other students can benefit also on this one. And Canva for infographics. And learning environment, of course, learning environment technology doesn't do much on this one, but I can just mention here that flexible seating plan or small groups, they can seat to their friends that they use the same kind of technology. Again, UDL and differentiation, okay, this is a two-way that we two approach that we can use, one proactive and one reactive that we can use for our classes to be inclusive. Okay, and by that we finish the analyze the needs of different students and task and give them tasks in UDL, and at the same time make a lessons using differentiated instructions or differentiation. Okay, for our conclusion, educational tools facilitate teaching and learning. It reinforces them. To integrate technological tools effectively, TPAC framework must be observed. Otherwise, we will miss a lot of things. Inclusion is valuing each other's equally. UDL and differentiation overlap in some way, but one is proactive and the other one is reactive. Proactive, before the barrier comes up, you have a plan. When the barrier shows, differentiation starts. That's how you tweak a little bit on the technological tools made UDL and differentiation easier and accessible. Again, for the takeaways, technological tools don't replace effective teaching. It supports, it reinforces. For technological tools to be effective, use TPAC. And and lastly is technological tools help inclusive practices like UDL and differentiation. Okay, just a previous slide. Okay, let me have that one. The conclusion or the other one. This one. Yeah, because somebody's asked for the previous slides, and maybe this is the one that he is asking for. All right. All right. So mm, moving forward, we'll just go to FAQs. Okay. Oh, the answer is there. Can technology replace teaching? Definitely no. Can I use technological tool available? Any technological tool available, even if I don't know how to use it? Again, it is a no-no. Do technological tools make UDL and differentiation easier and effective? Absolutely. It's yes. Okay, these are the sites, these are the citations, and thank you so much for listening. And if you have questions, okay, let's shoot it up. Type on the chat, and we'll have just to answer a few questions. Let's give like a minute or two for that. Right? It seems that there are no questions around. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening. I hope that everybody will use technology in their classes, not just for the sake of technology, but a meaningful and purposeful integration of technology in your classes with thinking about students in your classes. Be inclusive as much as possible using UDL and differentiated instructions. Thank you. Have a nice day, everyone.